Alright guys, what's happening? Welcome to another episode of RMC Real Men Cry, the podcast. Today I am joined with Mr. Chandler Whittle. Let's give a nice round of applause for Chandler.
How are we all doing, guys? How are we doing?
Everyone's great, they say. I know this sounds a bit weird because it's the first time I'm doing this via like this sort of way. We're not having someone in front of me and being in the same room.
Hashtag coronavirus.
Yeah, thank you. Hashtag coronavirus. So it might not sound as great as I want it to, but we've had a lot of teething problems and technical issues, so this is as good as it's going to sound, unfortunately. Hopefully the next one that we do will actually sound a bit better. But yeah, so today I've got Chandler Whittle with me, and I'm very excited to have Chandler Whittle with me, actually, because everyone knows Chandler Whittle, don't they?
I'd like to think they do. Hopefully not in the bad ways.
Well, I mean, I know you in the bad way, don't I?
Of course you do.
So Chandler, he is my brother from another mother. I absolutely adore this guy with everything. And today he's come on to talk about his friends that have gone through some mental health. So I'm just sort of going to start with it. So Chandler, when did you first sort of start noticing that your friends might have some sort of mental health issue?
Well, it's always just been sort of thing that I've realised, because I've personally never gone through it myself, so I've never sort of experienced what people describe in sometimes as dark times and things where they sort of feel trapped. And then when I sort of notice how people go quiet, they sort of leave group chats, they are not acting themselves, they're acting very off, and you can just tell that they are going through something that I've never experienced, because I've never felt like I've had to sort of distance myself or isolate myself or leave group chats. You know, I've just noticed how people have acted completely in a different way that I would act to things. So I sort of thought, well, shit, this might be more of a deeper meaning than I've ever experienced.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree with you. I know myself personally, I have left our group chat quite a lot of times because of various things, whether it's that I've been in a dark place or whether I just couldn't be bothered with dealing with a lot of you. And I think that that's something that just tends to happen, right? I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, it doesn't help, because a lot of people can't sort of open their mind a bit and see what's going on, if you know what I mean. They sort of don't take it seriously, and that they will really sort of play on it with people, and they will sort of, in my opinion, they don't realise they're doing it, but they are going to make it worse for someone.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the times that I've left, there's obviously been one specific time when I was going through something really dark and really personal, and it just wasn't helpful. This was obviously back in the day when I just didn't really know how to deal with you lot specifically.
Exactly. We're not exactly the easiest bunch.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're definitely not. You're all a little bit arseholey at times. But I love you all, so it's all fine. But
yeah. Nobody really wants to intentionally hurt anyone.
No, exactly. I mean, if you do, then you're a dickhead. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't think anyone in our group anyway, or just in general, really wants to make anything worse for someone. But I think everybody... No. I think everyone's got different ways of expressing and dealing with things. So
exactly.
I don't know. I feel like there are obviously certain people who now, I could put myself in this bracket. Now I'd rather be around people than be isolated.
Well, yeah, that's one thing I've always said when I've spoke to people that are going through things, and I've experienced it. Because a lot of people, without trying to sound big-headed, a lot of people feel like they can open up to me. They can talk to me about things. They don't feel like they have to hide their feelings to me. They can just talk to me about anything, and I'll just be there and talk to them about it. And one thing I always say to absolutely everyone is, do not be alone, because that's when you start to overthink and your mind can consume you. You need to be positive and meet people. I know, right now in the situation we're in with the virus and stuff, we can't. But phone calls, anything, just talk to someone, because they can make you see something in a completely different light and make you see it in such a more positive way that you really might start to look at things differently than you are.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, I know a few years ago, personally, I always wanted to be isolated. If I was going through something quite dark, I didn't really want to be around anybody. I just thought that everyone was sort of out to get me, or no one really could make things better besides myself. But now, I would rather be around people. I'd rather see you lot, or go to the pub, or do you know what I mean? I would rather be around people and having a good time rather than not. And I think that sort of come with time for me anyway.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I didn't really get, because obviously I've never experienced any mental health. I've never really gone through this sort of thing where what people feel like mentally in their brain, where they sort of feel like they're in a battle in their own mind. I've never, like, in the most sympathetic way, I've never been able to sort of understand it or be able to sympathise with it completely, because I've not felt it. And I know a lot of people who haven't felt it will probably agree. You can, when people say, like, you don't understand what I'm going through, and like, that is true, you do not understand, because you just don't get what they're going through. And I do believe that everyone who goes through mental health, they are completely dealing with it in completely different ways as well. There's not just one form, there's so many different forms that people are going through, that you can have one person with serious mental health and another person with serious mental health, but completely different opposite sides of the spectrum, that you can't even compare that.
Yeah, I 100% agree, mate. I mean, obviously there's quite a few of us that I know, that, you know, like, I've spoken to you quite a few times, and I know other people have spoken to you quite a few times, and I guarantee you, like, all of us that have spoken to you about the way that we feel probably all say different things, and are probably all dealing with things in different ways.
Exactly, because it stems from different situations.
Yeah, and I know it's obviously, it's really tough. I think it's really tough for obviously the person who's going through it, but then I also really think it's really tough for somebody like yourself who is there and is a good friend and does listen, which is why I also think sometimes people who go through it are quite reluctant to talk to their friends, because they don't want to be a burden. I know that sounds really stupid.
I completely get that. A lot of people I spoke to, I've literally said to them, like, why didn't you come to me before? Why don't you just not said this before? And it's like, I don't want to put my issues onto you. I don't want to be a burden. But a lot of people don't understand. If they're your friends, they care, and it's not a burden in any way whatsoever. They just want to see you out of this place and feeling 10 times better, even 1% better, just anything to put you down worse than the situation you're feeling, especially when people feel alone, because that's the worst probably feeling I can imagine.
I mean, yeah, I would agree that feeling alone is the worst. I mean, I think it's really hard. So there are situations where sometimes you can be around people yet feel alone at the same time.
That's sort of something I've been told by people, like, they're with people but they don't feel like they're with them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Whereas, like, I don't think I've actually felt that in a long time being around you lot. I think it's weird. Me personally, like, it's gone the opposite end of the spectrum. I never thought that it would be you lot that I would open up to and that I would want to spend all my time with. I always thought it'd be the guys that I've known for many, many years. But
yeah,
I think it's really weird how it sort of swapped. And
you know what, you do find that sometimes when you want to open up to someone, you want to talk to someone, that you'll find someone you met a month ago, a few months ago, you can really open up to way more than you've known someone for years, because you might be able to relate on a more spiritual level, if you know what I mean, in, like, with your minds, instead of someone you've known for years, because you know them really good, deeply as friends, but you maybe not have experienced the sort of mindful connection you have with somebody else.
Yeah, and I think, so, sort of like, without sort of talking about myself too much, I remember when I first met you, I was a bit petrified of you. I don't know why.
Do you know what? A lot of people say that. A lot of people, because they've seen me in my videos and they've seen me on people's videos, and I come across as quite a confident person.
Quite cocky.
You wouldn't. And then when people meet me, like I don't want to name names, but one person in our group, when I first met them about 6 years ago, they said they were really scared to meet me. They thought I was going to be really judgy and really horrible. And then when they met me, they turned out, like, within the day, we become really best friends.
Yeah, and I think that's the same with me and you, to be fair. I remember, like, meeting you, I was really scared to talk to you. I was literally like, he's going to be a dickhead. And then as soon as I spoke to you and I realised that you actually like Phantom of the Opera and all things musical theatre, I was like, oh yeah, okay, this guy's cool, he's alright.
Yeah, I have a lot of things that if you went to my Instagram, you went to my YouTube, you would not tie him as a musical theatre, Dolly Parton loving person.
Quite literally, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. This
when I
is
speak
cool.
to a lot of people, they are very confused to see, like, he travels a lot, he loves his cars, he loves his theme parks, but there is no way I'd put him down as a country music loving musical theatre person as well.
Oh, legit. Like, I never ever thought that you would be into to like Phantom of the Opera and Les Mis and all that stuff. I always thought you were proper like one of those proper theme park geeks.
You think I'd be someone who loves football? And
I mean, no. I mean, I don't think I would have thought. I definitely didn't think you would have liked football. I thought you were a proper theme park enthusiast, like one of those like.
I always say to people I'm a secret theme park enthusiast. I've got all the knowledge from years ago when I used to be proper into it, but I'm not as into it now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I love it, and I love seeing everyone. And I, you know, I love theme parks. And back then, I loved it for the parks. It'd be all about creds, being able to go on as many as it possibly can. Went to Thorpe Park, I think, in 2014, like at least 30 times. I used to be like obsessed with it in that sense, but now I really enjoy going because I love rides. I love the coast and stuff, but I also, this social aspect of it now is just overtaking it more than anything.
I would agree with that. I think now that whenever we go out to a theme park, it is all about the social. It's not so much anymore about riding the rides. It is if we're going to a new park. I think if we're going to somewhere new, like if we went when we went to Efteling, that was all about getting the creds more than the social, and same with like Phantasialand. But I think if we go to like Thorpe Park or Towers or Chesney or whatever, it is all about the social. And I think a big testament to that is Blackpool Pleasure Beach opening. Like, that is such a massive social weekend where everyone is just getting pissed and everyone's sort of chatting to each other.
It is, like, I'd say, out of all the events we have, it's probably the most proclaimed and the most important date in the theme park enthusiast calendar.
Yeah, that, and I would also say probably like
come after it. Unfortunately, we didn't get to have it this year.
Soon,
and we have as soon as it's all over, I assume we're all going to arrange a massive thing during the summer.
I mean, I hope we do, because I am bored shitless of not being on rides. I am so desperate to be on a ride right now. Like, you do not understand. I just want to be on Soar. That's all I want to be on.
I find myself playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, listening to theme park audio, which is something I haven't done since I was about 15.
Wow.
But I feel myself doing it.
I've literally been binge watching Sean Sandbrook for the past like 2 weeks.
We can't fault Sean in that sense. He's always providing entertainment for us, isn't he?
And it's great because all of his videos are like an hour long. So you've got like
if you want to watch a theme park vlog that's going to keep you feeling like you're in a park, there's nothing better than watching his stuff. It's like a basic POV of the day.
I mean, even sometimes Jack stuff or your stuff. Your old stuff.
My old stuff. Maybe my new stuff's more to the point, if you know what I mean. I don't spend too much time on one given
thing. Do you actually have any new stuff?
I have a few stuff, but as I am, normal life sometimes seems to overtake the YouTube life, but
obviously 100%.
It will be released, but I do find myself, I've had to take the liberty and say to myself, right, the next 2 weeks I'm going to have to take it off. I don't have to, and I could still work, but I sort of just need to take it off. Like, I'm sort of not going to be going on set and doing any shoots, and I'm going to do all my editing work, all my work from home, and then I expect I'm going to find gaps where I'm like, I could finish that YouTube video, and I'm going to sort of try and utilise this time as much as I can to do that.
So I think, you having said that, I think, right, even though you obviously haven't experienced anything mentally, I think that in some sense is some sort of mental blockage there, because you are sort of saying, I need to take this time for myself, and I need to do all the work I need to get done before I focus on doing something for YouTube. So I think even though you obviously have never had something like depression or anxiety or whatever, I think subliminally, subconsciously, there is some sort of mentality where you're like, you want to focus on yourself and not just...
Do you know what, as you're saying that, I do find very little time to myself. I am consumed with work, friends, and I say like work consumed. Work is like a massive part of my life. If anyone who knows me, I'm a workaholic. I like to make money, get things done. I like to secure like future and things, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And with friends, I also do not want to miss out on seeing friends. I want to always keep that bond that I have with everyone. So when it comes to time alone and doing things like editing a YouTube video or just chilling watching TV, it's very limited. The only times I do find that I have time to myself is when I travel or go somewhere, but then I also do find that myself that I'm tending to be filming things then as well. I don't think I'm ever sat down in the real world, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think even when you was at Blackpool, I think there was like, you could kind of see that you weren't fully switched on into what was going on. I think there was moments where it was like, oh, you know, I think obviously that Blackpool weekend was a special weekend, and it was different because you obviously seen people that you haven't seen for a long time, and we all saw somebody that we haven't seen for a very, very long time. So it was that thing of sort of, I don't want to say getting to know each other again, but getting to know each other again.
Yeah, getting to know what we've missed in the past few years or whatever, or how long it's been.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like me...
Obviously, some of us we've seen more than others.
Yeah, like me and you, we've seen each other a few times, and...
Yeah, we regularly see each other compared to what we see other people.
Yeah, and I think part of that is obviously life. And I do think that even if they don't have any mental health issues, life does sort of dictate to you what you can and can't do. And I think that, I mean, obviously, all of us want to see each other as much as we can. Probably even more so right now, whilst this is going on.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, life gets in the way, and sometimes you do have to say no. And you do have to say, I need to take this time for myself, and I need to do what I need to do to sort of really make yourself happy or do what you need to do. Otherwise, you're just going to get so bogged down, and then you will end up having something that you don't want to experience.
Exactly, and unfortunately, some people don't tend to get that we are all grown up now. There is a real life, and it can't all be fun and games, and we can't always be at absolutely everything. And like a lot of the term that's thrown around these days is a fake friend, and it annoys me when people say that, just because no one's a fake friend in that sense. Like, you're a fake friend by making people believe they're a fake friend just because they've got to have a bit of adult real life in their life, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
People try to shame you for not giving time to them when you try to give as much time as you can, but you also, realistically, this is the real world. You can't be there 24/7 to have fun and games
100%.
because that's not how it is.
I mean, I remember I was sort of made to feel bad because I couldn't afford to do something that I really wanted to do. Like, I really wanted to go somewhere, and I just couldn't afford it at the time. And it was like, all right, back when I was probably, 2021, first meeting you lot, all right, fine. I was quite young still. That would have been like a laugh and whatever. But now I'm getting old, and it's like I need to prioritise certain things. And if I can't pay for my bills, then I'm not going to have to pay to go to Thorpe Park or go to somewhere else.
A lot of things that we do, everything that we do, everyone, costs money.
Yeah.
There's not, like, no matter what we do, doesn't matter if we're chilling at someone's house or at a theme park. To get to the house, it costs money to get there. Do you know what I mean? Like, everything we do, there's nothing we do that doesn't cost money.
No, exactly. I mean, even it, like you say, like, you know, we've all got annual passes, but getting to somewhere, like getting to Thorpe Park, or even getting somewhere like London Dungeons or whatever, even getting to there costs money. You've got to pay for travel. Obviously, you're getting into London. For me, obviously, I live in London, so it's cheap to get into London. But getting to Thorpe Park, that's what, like £8 a journey with like my rail card and whatever. And then it's obviously getting either a cab or the bus, or if one of you lot are driving, a lift from the station over to Thorpe. So even that, it all adds up, even though we have got annual passes. And as much as obviously, you know, everyone's starting to get their own flats and things, you can't always go around to everyone's flats because it costs to get there.
Yeah, I think people just need to be really mindful, also, like, we're talking about the mental aspect, about how they deal with these situations. A lot of people, they don't really think about, I've said that, and that could affect them a bit more than I think it would affect me if I said that to them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree.
It's all about compromising. Friends want to see each other, they see each other, but
no, exactly.
You can't be selfish about it. You've got to be mindful about each other, and it's always about meeting in the middle.
I agree, and I think especially where there are quite a few of us within our group that have got various things, you know, whether it's depression, anxiety, whatever, there are a few of us in our group that have that, and obviously it's hard because you don't want to, I feel like, me personally, I don't want to say the wrong thing to everybody and be known as that one who doesn't want to go out or who can't afford to go out. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's great, you know, like, I see you and I'm like, you're doing really well for yourself, and that's great. And then it's like, you know, you obviously want the best for all your friends, but at the same time, you want the best for yourself. So
completely, and a lot of way you got to see things is a lot of people can tie into jealousy, and then that's when it starts to become toxic, and that does also play mentally with you as well. You've got to sort of like look at other people and sort of feel aspired and inspired to do things, if you know what I mean. And then that's the way you can. That's what I mean by. I always say to people, every situation you're in, negative, positive, there's always a positive way of looking at it.
Oh, 100%.
Always. There's not any situation that you can't look at it in a positive way. And then people will be like, oh yeah, there is some things like there's nothing good about it. But yeah, there's nothing good about it because the way you're looking at it. If you look at something just a bit more outside the box, you're going to find something positive. And that tiny bit of positivity, whether it's 1%, it's going to help you pull through 110%.
I would agree with that, to be honest. I think every bit of positivity. Obviously, I think group chats are really difficult because everyone, there's so, especially in like our group chat, there's so much banter, and sometimes it can be hard to define what's banter and what's sort of being said to be malicious. Even if there's no malicious intent behind something that's being said, it could still come across as malicious because you're in a group chat and you're texting each other. Obviously,
that's one thing I say to people. Like, if I'm ever in a situation where I'm having a disagreement with someone or we're not understanding each other, I always say, just call me, because you're going to see in the tone of my voice, there's nothing compared to the tone of my text.
Yeah, 100%.
It's such a different way. Like, people always like, oh yeah, I prefer text and stuff. Yeah, that's fine. But when we're in a situation where we sort of need to like understand each other better, just give me a call. I will call you. I don't care, just to establish something. Like, because, like you said, when you're talking to someone in group chats, everyone's saying a million different things, and then people have banter, and then some people don't understand that. Yeah, you've said that as banter, and you might take that banter on Monday, but on Wednesday you're going through something a bit shit, and you're not going to say that as banter. It's going to affect you a bit differently.
Yeah, and I think
it's all about being mindful.
Especially with our lot, there's just banter always thrown left, right, and centre, and it can be quite difficult to decipher what is banter. I think now I know what's banter between our lot, but obviously when I first became part of that group, it was really, really hard to figure out what was banter and what was sort of meant to be harmful, considering I didn't know you all as much then.
And I think the way to look at it is that nobody really wants to be harmful. I think some people in some instances can be a bit too opinionated, but I don't think anyone wants to hurt anyone.
Oh no, I don't. I agree. I don't think anybody intentionally wants to hurt somebody, but I do think that, like you say, I think people need to be mindful of things that are being said, because there are people that you can affect. It's all great that you've got that banter and that you can have that, but there are times when things in a group chat can get taken a bit too far and people don't know when to stop. You know, we've obviously got friends that have experienced lots of different things and have gone through lots of shitty things, and, you know, like shitty relationships or shitty breakups or shitty, you know, whatever in their life that's gone on, but you're always going to be there to stand by that person. Even
if you are a true friend, you care about someone, doesn't matter what they're going through, you'll do everything you can in your power to make it, like I said, that even that 1% better.
Even as much as you've said to everyone, do you know what, if that person does it again, they can go fuck themselves, I'm not dealing with it again. Like, you will still deal with it and you will still be there for that person.
It's all heated moments in an argument.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously, like I say, you know, being in a group chat, you've got to decipher what is right and what's being said as banter and what's being said unintentionally to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I say, back when I joined you guys in 2016, I didn't know you lot that much. I didn't know you as well as I know you now. So every bit of banter.
Yeah, God, it was 2016 now, wasn't it?
Yeah, end of 2016 was when I met all you lot.
Eye, pretty much.
Yeah, well, because obviously I knew Dean and I knew Luke. Well, I knew Luke more than I knew Dean, but I knew them sort of roughly. And then Luke invited me to come to Winter Wonderland with you lot, and then the rest is history.
Yeah,
but
I wasn't even like aware. I was just getting on I was on my way, and I didn't even know you guys were coming. You were there, and do you know what I mean? Like, it was. I mean,
I wasn't there because I was late.
Was you late? I can't remember.
I was late. I slept through my alarm.
I was late, actually.
I literally had Luca.
I got there to go on lunch.
I had Luca calling me. Oh yeah, no, you did. Yeah, I had Luca calling me, going, "We're all here. Where are you?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" I literally slept through my alarm. I got up, had a shower, and ran straight out the door. It was insane, and I got there within like 45 minutes, which was brilliant. And then we'd all gone to Sea Life, and then did London Eye. Because I think you joined us when we went on to London Eye, right?
Yeah, I joined at London Eye Point.
Yeah.
And then I think we went for, we went for food to Nando's.
We went to Nando's, and then we met Adam, and
then we headed, then we headed up to
Winter Wonderland, and
Winter Wonderland.
And Taryn joined us at that point.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, let's go right back to the time, wouldn't have known if anyone was going through something. Situation like that, just being with people in positive settings at positive times. Like I said, I've never gone through this shit, but I can just imagine that it can just really help.
Yeah, and I think everyone's got their own way of dealing with things, and I think everybody, in life in general, I think everyone moves at different speeds.
Yes.
And, you know, in 2016, 2017, maybe even as late as 2018, I was that sort of person where if I was going through stuff, I wanted to distance myself. I didn't want to be around people. I just wanted to focus on myself and get myself better. And then, from last year, especially last year, I didn't want to be alone. There were, I will openly say, last year was an absolutely awful year, and I haven't actually touched upon it yet. I haven't really addressed it. But last year was an awful year for me. I was getting drunk a lot. I sort of became a bit of an alcoholic last year, and I was doing a lot of things that I don't even remember doing. Like, I got told that I hit my friend and I threw a whole pint of drink down my friend, and I don't remember doing that stuff. And that's why at the end of this year, I was in the last year, I was like, I can't drink as much in 2020. I need to get my head in a good place. I need to sort of be around people, and I need to focus on me and do things that make me happy.
Yeah, I think in these situations, a lot of people do turn to things that are probably not the best thing to turn to deal with things.
I mean, that was the first time that I've ever sort of become a bit of an alcoholic. I've never turned to alcohol before, until last year. Last year was the first time that I was buying vodka every other week, and
That's another thing. I fully do not understand. I can't say I fully can understand people in situations because I can't. To me, I can't imagine that alcohol could help, if you know what I mean. But obviously it does, because a lot of people do it. But I just can't fully imagine what it can do, if you know what I mean.
So I mean, I think for me, it sort of it blocked everything out. And I think that's the same for most people who turn to alcohol or even drugs. It just blocks it out.
I can think about that sense, because when you are drunk, nothing matters, and just full steam ahead, you're enjoying your night. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people do turn to things like alcohol or drugs, because you just have no inhibitions when you're drinking or when you're doing something illegal, and you can just do what you want to do. It's just one of those weird things that everyone, like I say, everyone moves at their own speeds, and until you're ready to sort of deal with stuff, then you're just not going to notice what you're doing, and you're not going to notice that you're being self-destructive until you are at that point where you're ready to say, do you know what, something needs to change.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realise. It's like the saying, you don't know what you've got until it's gone.
Yeah.
It's the point where it literally becomes too late, and then sort of damage is already done.
Yeah, and I think that for me, that's why when I found out last year that my alcohol was sort of affecting people negatively, and I was doing stuff that I don't remember, that was a wake-up call for me. It was literally me shit, I can't do that. I don't know, I clearly something, I'm doing this too often and not remembering things that I'm doing and pissing people off, and I'm going to wreck friendships. And I did wreck friendships, if I'm honest. I have wrecked friendships because of the way that I was, all the alcohol that I consumed last year. And sadly, I think I probably wrecked some of those friendships beyond repair because of the way that I was last year, which is so shitty. But it is what it is.
I think, as I said, you look at this as a negative thing, but you look at the positive thing is you've realised it's wrong, and you've made a massive improvement, and that's a positive thing you've got to look at. Where you're at now, and where you're going to be in the future. The past is the past. We can all dwell on it, or we can take what we've got from it and just put it into improving.
Just let it go.
Exactly.
Just let it go.
You've got to let it go, and you've just got to just focus on what you've got now, Because that's the thing that obviously if you're wanting to change something, it's what you're doing right now. The past is the past, it's done, you can't really change it.
I mean,
Where you are now,
is
and
anybody
where you
else
want to
just hearing Let It Go from Frozen in their head right now?
be. Yeah, I was trying to block it out and be serious, but okay.
I'm a big believer now that laughter is a really good medicine. And
Of course.
you know,
Being happy is infectious, and that's what you need. And that's a good infectious thing to have.
I think one of the last times I saw you last year, I was probably still sort of in a bit of a mood.
I think probably the last time I saw you is when you met me outside my local.
Before Blackpool, last time I saw you was that day when we'd gone to the local pub that you go to a lot. And
exactly.
At that time, I was probably still in a bit of a mood. I probably wasn't myself, 100% myself.
But the way I see things like that, like I was speaking to Rich, and it was like, I think spontaneous things like that can happen. I know it's something crazy, it's a pub, but the fact that you guys were at Hyde Park and went to Wonderland, I was like, literally, like, come to my pub, it's 15 minutes from Hyde Park, like, let's just, meet up for a bit, and things like that, little positive things to remind you, like, you can do little things that can make people feel a bit better inside.
Yeah, 100%, and it did make me feel good, because it was like I haven't seen you in a long time, and it was nice to see you, and it was nice to have a chat with you, and it was even if it was very brief, it was nice to get that bit of time with you.
Even though it was freezing sitting on the bench, but
yeah, I mean, we didn't have to sit outside, but
do you know what? I think we chose to, didn't we?
Yeah, we chose to, because I think we just chose to sit outside. But even little things like that, like I found that to be really good, because obviously the night before most of us had gone to a house party, and that night I got so drunk I don't remember getting back to my hotel, and do you know what I mean? Like, so to go out and see people and just sort of have a nice day out with my wife.
My wife.
Not on the camera, mate. Not on the camera. Come on. Not on the podcast, mate. But yeah, just to like go out and have a nice day out and see people and see you, because I hadn't seen you for ages.
I also think when you're in situations, it's also good to see people you've not seen for a while, because it can remind you of people that you don't think are there but are still there.
Yeah, 100%. And I do have to say that it was really nice to see you, and it just reminded me of like.
That's very nice. Thank you. Nice to see you too.
But I think honestly, obviously everyone has their own way of dealing with things, and no matter, there's no right or wrong way of dealing with whatever you're going through. But
exactly,
I do think that when you get to a point in your life where you just don't want to isolate anymore, and at the moment we have no choice, but when you don't want to isolate,
sort of isolating.
Yeah, but I think when you get to the point in life where you just don't want to isolate anymore, and I think that's a good point in your life, because like you said earlier, I think being on your own can be quite self-destructive, because you're just sitting there with your thoughts, and sometimes you don't know how to process that. Sometimes being alone does help, but most of the time, in my experience, it didn't help, because I would just be thinking more about things rather than not, and rather than just enjoying myself, I was just constantly thinking about, oh shit, I said that the other day, and oh no, does that person hate me? Which obviously is ridiculous. But, I think you've got to find what's right for you. And having a friend like Chandler Whittle is always good.
Well, do you know what? That has touched me in my heart. I appreciate that.
Oh, which should have touched you.
I like to think that I can make people feel better. If I've never been in their situations, but at least make them feel like there is always a shoulder to cry on or talk to, because I don't have to be in situations to know that being alone, I can imagine in situations, is probably one of the worst feelings you can get.
I think it's really important to surround yourself with the right people.
Yes.
And that can take time.
A lot of people, you think that you might not know the right people. Like you said, like we put about misconceptions that a lot of people, like you said, who have been sort of nervous to meet me, but then realise that I am the complete opposite of what they thought they were going to be presented with.
No, exactly. And I do think it is important to surround yourself, though, with positivity and the right people. And if I'm honest, right, I don't want it to sound like I'm being a dick, but I think sometimes the right people can also be the wrong people, because in certain situations they can piss you off more than help you, which I think is very true in my case. And I think there are certain people within our group that, even though I absolutely love all of you to bits, sometimes the way that things are handled makes me feel more shit than makes me feel good. That in itself, I think that's really hard, because yeah, you might have got the right people around you from the majority of the time, but sometimes the right people can do something that makes you feel like shit instead of boosting you. And I think it's just really important that everybody knows the right things and where they are, I think. I don't know.
Not everyone can be the right person for every situation.
Yeah, and it's like, different situations call for different things. Like, I would probably say stuff to you that I wouldn't say to other people, or like, and vice versa, depending on how I know that if I know that person will take it.
People, if someone's involved in a situation, they've had experience in a situation, you might feel like they might be able to sort of like guide you better in the situation.
Yeah, I think trust is the biggest thing. Not even just with someone who's got mental health. I think it's the biggest thing in general. If you can't trust somebody, then that's not a friendship. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to trust that person with your life. Otherwise, there's not really a friendship there. Or there could be a friendship. I
can't guarantee if you're jumping off a bridge, I'm going to jump off after you.
Oh, right, it's not Titanic, but but yeah, I think, you know what I mean. I think if you can trust somebody 100%, or even if you trust someone 95%, even that is good. But if the trust is below like 90%, then
not even that. It's just, you just got to be able to have faith in them as well.
Yeah, so I know if I say something to you that you're not going to repeat that to somebody else, or especially if I say something that's really like dark. There was actually one person who I did say something to, who I thought wouldn't say anything to anybody else, and it's no fault of their own. Like, they didn't do it to be malicious or to be hurtful. They did it to sort of help me, and they told everybody else what was going on in my life at that time, and that really pissed me off, because it's like I told that person, and I only wanted to tell that person what was going on, and that, the personal things that are happening to me, and I would have told everybody when I was ready to tell everybody. And I think, I don't hold that against that person, because I know that person was doing it to help me. But I think it's hard. I think you've got to sort of judge everything in every situation.
I think a lot of it can be down to miscommunication as well. It can be anything. It's through no one's fault, and sometimes things are done with good intentions, but don't always result in good results, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Like I say, I know this person didn't do it to be malicious, and I know that they did it to help me, but it was just a thing of, I wasn't ready to tell 15 other people that, I can talk about this situation now because it's all fine, but it's at the time that my mum was diagnosed with cancer, and I wasn't ready to tell anybody what was going on in my life at that point. And I told one person, and that one person told everybody else, thinking that it would be helpful, but it wasn't. And I was getting messages from people saying, "Oh my God, your mum's got cancer," da da da. And it was like, that's not what I wanted to see at that point. I was scared looking at it. If someone had said it back to me, it sort of scared me, because I knew it was real. And that's why,
that's very true.
It was that thing of
sometimes
seeing,
we don't like to face up to the truth in certain situations.
Yeah, and seeing people message me saying, "Oh, I hope you're okay. I hope your mum's okay." Da 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 da. It made it real for me.
I can sort of like sympathise and things like that, because there have been situations where something's happened and I've sort of not wanted to believe it, and then when people are sort of talking to me about something that's happened, and it makes you think, oh shit, this is real.
Yeah, it just made it real, and I just didn't want it to be real. It was a hard time in my life, and it was because I'm really close to my mum, and my mum is my mum and my dad, so I'm super close to my mum.
Super parent.
Yeah, so that in itself, it was I just didn't want to believe that it was real and that it was happening. But I agree. I think we just have to sort of see each other and have a laugh. I think laughter and being with your friends is the best cure for anything.
I think that's what we can take from this, is that even if you feel alone, truth is, you're never really actually alone.
Yeah.
There's always somebody out there, even if you don't know them. Like, I know it's sort of like defies what we've been saying, like you've always got friends, but like there's always someone you can talk to. There's always that magic number. There's always someone that will be able to maybe not fully understand you, because I don't think anyone can fully understand someone's situation, because it's all very individual. But words can always just bring you up that tiny little bit. Someone's company, just absolutely anything. Like you said, laughter and happiness is a cure for absolutely anything.
Even if it's the...
Maybe not coronavirus, but it's a good cure.
Well, no, I mean, I think laughter can be a cure for coronavirus. All the memes that have been going around, I think that's definitely a cure. But even things like, you know, if it's somebody that just doesn't talk and just listens, even that's really good. You know,
being able to let something out that you've not been able to let out can take a whole lot of weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, you were saying about the magic number, like anybody who just wants to talk, I've got loads of links in the description of websites and charities and organisations that you can go to and turn to. You obviously got Samaritans, which is obviously like they've helped me out. Samaritans, I mean, I'm not ashamed to say that I phoned Samaritans last year when I wanted to kill myself and was going through a really dark moment where I did want to kill myself.
I can imagine they said the right things because you're still here.
Yeah, and it was just like, you know, I mean, I say I wanted to kill myself. They were very impressed that I said I wanted to kill myself, but I knew that my life is worth something. So they were like, well, you know your life's worth something, so why do you want to kill yourself?
You wouldn't have called otherwise.
Yeah, and it's like, they made me look at things in a different way and made me realise that actually, do you know what, my life is pretty good, and I do have some amazing friends and I've got some amazing people around me, and I just need to trust that I've got amazing people around me all the time, and trust that support network. I think, if I'm honest, I think telling your family is harder than telling your friends. You can tell a friend or you can tell a stranger, and it's so easy.
Exactly. There's tons of things that my friends know, and sometimes not even my close friends know, that my family would never know.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, there are a lot of things that my family don't know that you probably know, and that vice versa. But I do think that obviously all these organisations are really good. So something like Samaritans or the Mental Health Foundation or Mind, you know, they are really good organisations. So if you ever do feel like you need to talk to somebody, there's all those links in the description in this podcast. Or even if you want to chat to me or want to reach out to me, you know, I'm happy to do that. Just drop me a message on Twitter or something.
You know, I'm going to put it out for me. If you ever feel like you've been listening to this and I might be able to sympathise with you, drop me a DM. They're always open. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, what you are. If you feel like I can help, then it would be a pleasure to make you be put in a better place.
Yeah, I think that's a sort of nice place to wrap things up as well. I think, you know, we've been going on for a good time. That's all good.
Yeah, and I think I've got this podcast. Maybe it's had a little hint. Maybe it's been not more about people's experience. Maybe more sort of like an advice podcast as well.
Yeah, and obviously, like I say, I can't give advice because what works for me might not necessarily work for you.
It's not individually tailored advice. It's a general advice.
Yeah, it's just me saying, you know, this is what works for me. If you think it could work for you, then go for it. But, you know, if you ever feel down or whatever, drop me a message. Talk to Samaritans. Talk to an organisation. Talk to Chandler. Chandler's a very good listener.
I always listen and help people when I can, because I don't like to see anyone feeling less than they should.
And I agree with that. I think he definitely doesn't like to see people feeling down. I always feel really happy. I mean, like, I literally said to you the other day that I had a dream about you.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, like, I had a dream and Chandler randomly drove up to my house when I was feeling really down and depressed and gave me a hug, and we cried and we drank beer, and like, that's...
You know what? What's nice to think about that? That's probably not too far-fetched from what could be a truth.
Yeah. And it was like, it's just so wholesome. It's wholesome content, you know?
Yeah, like, and like I say, in some situations like this might be, and like you can't, and you also, in those ways, say is you can't always rely on someone to physically be there, because like people have lives, but like situations like you're just on the other side of the city, like this, there's a lot more accessible for some people, but like there's always a phone call as well.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously during these times, you know, I think phone calls or video calls, whatever, are really important during these times at the moment. Always check up on your friends. Don't, especially if your friends that you know are suffering stuff, are going through stuff, always check up on them. Be a good friend and check up on them, because I can guarantee you nothing will brighten their day more than you saying, "Oh, how you doing? Are you okay? How you getting on?" Because that's, especially if you know them inside out, then you know exactly what they're thinking and feeling.
Exactly.
I think if we can take anything from this, is that just try and surround yourself with the positive people, with positivity.
Exactly.
And
as hard as it may be, try to think positive.
Yeah.
Always try to look at the positive aspects of every situation, because it does help.
And there's always somebody there, like all the time. There's always somebody.
So we put out there, we're always there. Drop us a DM.
Brilliant. So thank you so much, Chandler, for being involved, and
It's been a pleasure.
I hope that, our little conversation will help somebody. That's all we can hope for.
Exactly.
It's nice for anyone that doesn't know. This is how the podcast. It's not always going to be about really dark, meaningful stuff. There are going to be some light episodes like this where I just bring people on that haven't experienced things themselves, but see it from other perspectives. So that's sort of how I want. I don't want it to all be very serious all the time. That's the sort of person I am. I want to have a laugh. So thank you again for being on this podcast, Chandler. And
no worries. Pleasure as
we will
always.
definitely chat again.
Indeed, we shall.
Thank you very much, and I will see all of you with another podcast real soon. This has been RMC Real Men Cry, the podcast. Thank you. Goodbye.